Type 3 school bus training. Now, this is going to be an annual training, so we're going to be doing it every year. Part of this training is to prevent this from ever happening again. It is an accident that happened in 2007 where a Type 3 school bus or van slammed into a stopped school bus, killing both the driver and the 14-year-old female student. So this is going to be mainly focused on safety to prevent this from happening again. Let's start by defining what a Type 3 school bus is, all right? It has to have a seating capacity of 10 or fewer people, including the driver, and a weight rating of 10,000 pounds or less. So it's most commonly going to be a 7-passenger van. For independent contractors, 7-passenger SUVs or vans. But also, less commonly, it's going to be sedans, but we don't usually use that. And then it's going to be 9 or 10-passenger van, as shown as the right picture right there. So what are the annual requirements for a Type 3 driver? Well, the first one is training on proper operation of a Type 3 bus, behind the wheel evaluation to assess driving skills, a pre-trip evaluation. This is a form that needs to be filled out every morning before the route, and so you'll be evaluated on that. School bus driver evaluation certificate. Once you finish the training, you will be given this evaluation certificate. You will sign it underneath alongside with your evaluator's signature. And then lastly, annual driver's license status verification. So this is going to be your driving record. So if you haven't brought that already, we're going to require you to bring a driving record, and that's going to be every year. Every school year, we're going to require a new one. So there are 8 minimum training competency requirements for a Type 3 driver as follows. Number 1, safe operation of a Type 3 vehicle, understanding student behavior, including issues related to students with disabilities, encouraging orderly conduct of students on the bus and handling incidents of misconduct appropriately, knowing and understanding relevant laws, rules of the road, and local school bus safety policies, handling emergency situations, proper use of seatbelts and child safety restraints, performance of pre-trip vehicle inspection, and safe loading and unloading of students. These are the 8 minimum training competency requirements that we're going to go over in this presentation. Starting with safe operation of a Type 3 vehicle, right? So according to the Smith System of Defensive Driving, which is a series of driving techniques to reduce the risk of getting in a crash, the 5 keys are to aim high in steering, always look further ahead and identify changing traffic conditions. Number 2, get the bigger picture. Traffic conditions continually change. Look around and be prepared, right? Number 3, keep your eyes moving. Scan traffic and mirrors and don't just focus on what's ahead. Number 4, leave yourself an out. Maintain a safe following distance and adjust your driving as traffic conditions change. And beware of the space cushions around you and other vehicles in case you have to take evasive action, especially during winter. Make sure at least you're able to see the road between you and the car in front of you, just so you can leave yourself an out. And number 5, make sure they see you. Turn lights on for safety and maintain good lane position, right? Especially when it's foggy, low visibility during winter, make sure you always have your lights on. Safe operation of a Type 3 vehicle continued, all right? So ensure you're well rested before driving to avoid being tired or sleepy while doing the route. Always practice defensive driving skills. Assume that everyone else is a bad driver, so take it upon yourself to be a defensive driver. Of course, follow all the state and federal laws governing vehicle operations. Do not speed. Like we talked about, maintain a safe following distance based on traffic and road conditions. And when passing, adhere to pavement markings, signage, and applicable laws. And always yield right of way to pedestrians, especially during school, like in school zones where students are crossing, parents are crossing. Make sure you're always giving right of way to pedestrians. Never use an unsafe vehicle, and make sure all the safety equipment is in the vehicle. Know how to operate all the equipment on the vehicle. And this is very important. Students cannot be in the vehicle while it's being fueled. So the goal is to transport students from point A to point B, point A being student pickup and point B being the student drop off, nothing in between. So no fueling while students are in the vehicle. And lastly, all students must be in the vehicle before backing up. So make sure the car is on park when loading and unloading students, and only when students are buckled up, doors are closed, you can change gear. Moving on, understanding student behavior, including issues related to students with disability. So there are different types of disabilities you will need to be aware of based on the students being transported. Special needs students may not fully understand all the safety rules necessary for their safe rides, which presents challenges to you as the driver, right? If, for example, the regular transportation routine is changed, some special needs students will not understand and may act out. But many questions you have regarding a particular student with special needs may be answered by their parent, guardian, caregiver, or teachers. So don't be afraid to speak to staff, have conversations, ask questions. And sometimes, right, seating assignments may be needed. So if a student, for example, fiddles with the door, it'll probably be smart to assign them to sit on the third row where they won't have access to the door. Same thing with students that have safety vests and that need to be harnessed to the seat with a safety harness. It'd probably be smart to do that on the third row so that they don't have access to the doors and that they're secure all the way in the back. And always make sure special equipment is properly secured. For examples, crutches, oxygen tank, adaptive walker, and things of that sort. Wheelchair is also a good example, and that's going to be specifically for wheelchair vans. Encouraging orderly conduct of students on the bus and handling incidents of misconduct appropriately. This one's the third out of the 8 minimum training competency requirements. So control behavior by clearly communicating the rules. The goal is to always put student safety first. So students are expected to stay seated, stay buckled up, face forward, and not distract the driver. To deal with misconduct, you may need to pull over in a safe location to address the behavior. Do not allow bad behavior to go unchecked, as it will only get worse if allowed to continue. So all breaches of student discipline must be reported. So continuing on that topic, drivers should always ensure that all students are buckled up properly before the vehicle moves. They should also ensure that you have the required number of booster seats for your specific route and that they're being correctly used by the students that require them. Communication. If there's an issue, drivers should pull over to a safe location, as we briefly mentioned on the previous slide. Clearly communicate expectations to students on board, and if the issue persists, contact the dispatch team and ensure that the situation is resolved before continuing. So drivers must report any student misbehavior immediately so that a student conduct report is submitted. That's going to be done by the office personnel, but the driver should always report it so that the student conduct report can be filled out. And taking these steps helps keep everyone safe on the road. Knowing and understanding relevant laws, rules of the road, and local school bus safety policies. So there are many laws that govern operation of a Type 3 school bus, like traffic laws, distracted driving, cell phone use, seatbelt use, obeying speed limit, and other laws. So we're going to go over them briefly, starting with physical examination of a driver. This is going to be the medical or health card. So Type 3 school bus drivers hired solely to operate a Type 3 school bus must submit a physical examination, right? So we're going to send you to do your physical so that you can get a DOT and also do a drug test. And you must carry that medical or health card or DOT with you while operating a Type 3 school bus. This is going to be proof of your physical qualification. Let's talk about violation disclosure requirements. So if any employee gets a DWI disqualifying offense, or moving violations, you have to let office personnel know within 10 days in writing. So if you do have more than 3 qualifying disqualifications in less than 3 years, you're going to lose your privileges, your driving privileges, for 1 year. So let's say you had a speeding violation 2014, another speeding violation 2014, another one a year later, 2015, and then you disobeyed a sign. You blew through a stop sign in 2016. That's 4 moving offenses in less than 3 years. So that's going to result in 1 year loss of your driving privileges, basically. All right. Another way to lose your driving privileges would be driving while intoxicated. So drivers of a Type 3 school bus are subject to the same set of standards adopted for regular school bus drivers holding a CDL. Convictions of any DWI loss, including those occurring in a personal vehicle, will automatically result in a 5-year disqualification of a Type 3 school bus driving privileges. All right, this one's talking about criminal background investigation. We're going to require you to do a background check at the beginning, and that is another requirement for a Type 3 school bus driver. Controlled substance and alcohol testing. So these are the instances you're going to be required to do a controlled substance and alcohol testing. First one is pre-employment job application testing, right? Before you start working, you're going to be asked to do a drug test. The second one is going to be random. That's going to be throughout the year. A few people are going to be picked randomly. Could be anybody. So those are instances that you might be asked to do another drug test. And then the other one, the last one, is reasonable suspicion testing. That is, if an office personnel suspects a driver of being intoxicated or under the influence, that person may ask the driver to go do a drug test. So those are the instances that you may be asked to do a drug test or controlled substance and alcohol testing. Personal cellular phone call prohibited. So as a driver, you may not operate a school bus or Type 3 school bus while using your phone for personal reasons. That includes handheld or hands-free, and of course it includes text messaging, which is against the law. So school bus annual inspection decal. So the State Patrol inspect our vehicles every single year, and so this sticker is put on the window glass in the front windshield to basically state that this vehicle has been inspected. So make sure that you have this sticker, the most current sticker of the year, on your windshield or on the window decal. All right, moving on. Handling emergency situations. Emergency equipment in every Type 3 vehicle must have a first aid kit, bodily fluid cleanup, and a fire extinguisher. So ensure that if you use any of those equipments, like let's say you use a Band-Aid or something, you replace it or notify us so that we can replace it for you. Other things are seatbelt cutters. It should be within the reach of the driver. And when do you evacuate, right? In case of an accident, should you always evacuate your vehicle? Well, you should only evacuate in case of fire or if the vehicle is broken down in an unsafe location or other life-threatening situations. Otherwise, if it's just you have a tire blown out and you're on the shoulder, you should probably just stay inside. It's safer to stay inside, actually. All right, so this is what the emergency equipment looks like. This is the picture that basically includes all three equipments. We usually keep it in a bin in the trunk, and there's going to be a label in the front that states that there's emergency equipment in the back. So emergency preparedness. Plan your routes before you leave. Plan evacuations for your Type 3 school bus. Make sure all the students know all the exits and how to use them. make sure all students are dressed for the weather conditions. So in winter, for example, if a student pulls up in a t-shirt, make sure that they are well dressed. Make sure they have it. Make sure all the safety equipment is available and ready for use. We also have the emergency blankets in case of wintertime car breaks down and you need something to keep students or driver warm. There's also safety blankets and the emergency equipment. And keep a list of contact names and phone numbers in case of mechanical problems. So moving on to proper use of seatbelts and child safety restraints. So the seatbelt requirements. State law requires seatbelt usage of all passengers in the vehicle. And it is recommended students avoid riding in the passenger seat or in the front passenger seat of a Type 3 school bus until they are 12 years of age or adult size. So the booster seat requirements. A child who is both under the age of 8 and shorter than 4 feet 9 inches is required to be in a booster seat appropriate for the age and size of the child. And this is going to be stated on the route copies. When you receive your route, you're going to have a route copy where it states whether the student needs a booster seat or not. Performance of a pre-trip inspection. This is the 7th out of the 8 minimum training competency. This one's very important. So this is a form that needs to be filled out every single morning before you do your route. The paper that is shown right here is an example, but we actually do it on the app, and on the following slides, I will show you a tutorial on how to complete the pre-trip inspections on the app, where you'll also be doing your routes. A daily pre-trip inspection of the vehicle must be completed by the driver or designated person, and a copy of the pre-trip or a copy of it on the app, which just saves it on the app, must be kept with you while you operate the vehicle, right? And it has to be the current date. And not completing a pre-trip form will result in a citation being issued by law enforcement to the driver of the Type 3 school bus. So just in case a state patrol might pull you over, they're going to ask if you have completed a pre-trip inspection. So it's always important that you do it for the safety of the vehicle, and it is a requirement. So part of the external inspection includes, mechanical checks under the hood, checking things like the oil, coolant, transmission fluid, washer fluid, belt and hose, battery connection securement, looking for any kind of leaks. And then you just walk around and check all the lights, the tires, the mirrors, the window, windshield wipers, gas cap, and any vehicle damage. And then part of the internal inspection includes checking gadgets or lights, like the turn signal indicators, ABS light, headlamp indicators, the horn, the windshield, including the washer fluid, low tire pressure monitor system, the dashboard and interior lights, and making sure you have at least half a tank of fuel or more. And then, of course, adjust all the mirrors to your liking, adjust the driver's seat, and ensure all seat belts are available and they work properly. Sometimes they do get stuck, and so make sure they're also working for the students in the back seat, and make sure you have the emergency equipment. So how to perform a pre-trip inspection via the Dispatch app. This is the form that you're going to be filling out every single morning. It takes a couple minutes before your route. Let's go ahead and watch this video really quick. So pre-trip inspection. This form has to be filled out and kept with you when you are doing your route. So it has to be done every morning before you do your routes. It's going to ask you a few questions about the vehicle as we went over in training. You check around the vehicle, you check the inside, and you fill out that form. And it can actually be done in the app, and I'm going to show you exactly how. So first is logging in. Once you sign in, you're going to be able to access your routes, but we're going to click on vehicle inspection. So once you click on that middle section there, it's going to show the vehicle inspections you've done previously, if you've ever done them. If you haven't, or if you want to add a new one, you click on add new inspection on top, that green button, and then it's going to ask you to select your vehicle. This is going to be the last 4 VIN number of your vehicle. So if it's not in there, make sure you let us know so we can add it in there. But once you pick on that, it's going to ask you the date. In order to actually click on the date, you have to click on the bar and pick the date from the calendar. Today is September 23rd. So I'm going to click that one and done. Then when you press next, it's going to ask you for the mileage. So you just type out whatever it says on the odometer. This is going to be before your route. So it's going to be AM shift. So it's going to ask you AM or PM. You do AM. If you did forget to do it in the AM, make sure you do it in the PM. Then you would click PM. But most of the time, it's going to be before your route in the morning. And then it's going to ask you right into cleanliness. Is the car clean? So if the car is clean, you press yes. How are the tires? If the tires are good, you press yes. Make sure you check the brakes. They're good. Yes. Is the fuel cap secured? Yes. How are the mirrors? The doors, the headlights, the tail lights, the windshield wipers, the exhaust system. Do you have insurance with you? How's the parking brake? Is the fuel level? This one's important. Do you have at least half a tank of gas or more? How are the seat belts? Sometimes they get stuck. Do you have safety equipment? Horns functioning properly, turn signals, interior lights, AC and heating, communication. You have your phone with you, speedometer, making sure you have your booster seat, you haven't taken them out of the car, and that you have them available in case you need it. And that should be it. You just click submit. And once you click submit, it's loading a little bit. It's going to appear right there. You can have access to it. So what if you find something wrong during the pre-trip inspection? Well, that's a good question. If you discover a mechanical problem during the pre-trip inspection, contact the supervisor or maintenance shop personnel to ensure repairs are made prior to operating the Type 3 vehicle. All right, so lastly, safe loading and unloading of students. So the driver of the Type 3 school bus shall place the transmission in park while loading or unloading of students is occurring. Safe loading and unloading of students includes, but not limited to, the curb on the non-traffic side of the road, right, on the left side, never on the right side. Off-street areas are good, driveways, yards, parking lots, but always refrain from loading and unloading students in the vehicular traffic lane, right, on the left side, or the shoulder, a designated turn lane, right, a lane that has a turning sign, or a lane adjacent to a designated turn lane, right? So continuing that, avoid loading or unloading in locations that would require a student to cross the road. If the student must cross the road, they must be escorted by the driver. And so to do that safely, you have to make sure that you're parked in a safe location. You turn off the motor, take the keys with you, and then escort the student to cross the road and then go back into your vehicle. At the end of each trip, it's good to always check for students that may have fallen asleep. This is going to be more common for school buses, but it's also good for Type 3 vehicle drivers because you can check for items left behind and make sure like there's no trash, and you can ensure that the vehicle is clean and ready to go for tomorrow, right? So let's talk about alcohol. Zero tolerance alcohol. So it is a crime for any person to drive or operate or be in physical control of any class of school bus. And if a person operates a Type 3 school bus with any consumption of alcohol, it's going to be considered a misdemeanor. And it'll be considered a gross misdemeanor, which is a more serious offense if the violation occurs while a child under the age of 16 is in the vehicle. If the child is more than 36, if the child is more than 36 months younger than the violator, and it's the same thing if the violation occurs within 10 years of a qualified prior impaired driving incident. So don't drink and drive. Let's talk about routes. So this is what an example of what a route copy would look like. This is the paper version. Of course, it's half of it. This is only showing a morning route. So it is the driver's responsibility to always have an updated route copy and read all the instructions properly. The route copy is going to give you a lot of information about the student, whether they need a booster seat or not, whether the student is hand-to-hand, meaning the teacher or parent has to come pick them up from the vehicle, or they need to be, handed to another person hand to hand, or sometimes it's eye to eye. So you just need to make eye contact with the parent or teacher, or other times it's just a drop off. So it tells you all of that information on the route copy. It also, in some instances, tells you whether they need safety vest, and so we're going to make sure that we provide you with the safety harness, and it's your responsible to make sure that that safety harness is hooked to their safety vest. So it's very important to read the route copy and ensure that you're ready to do that route. And you can always ask the dispatching team if you have any questions about the route. Make sure to ask for route copy to be printed out, especially on the first day. So even though you do your routes on the app, it's always good to have the physical copy, but it can also be reached, the route copy can be accessed on the app also. It is required that you are on time to your routes. If you ever run late for whatever reason, contact the dispatch team immediately. If you're running 5 minutes late, 10 minutes late, please contact the dispatch team immediately. Communication is very key. So this video is going to show you how to access the route via the app. This is going to be a step-by-step guide on how to do your routes within the app. So the first step, you go to tcm.dispatchpro.net. We can also provide you this link so you can save it, and then you sign in using the username and password that's been assigned to you. And once you're in, it's going to bring up this page. You click on My Routes, the first tab right there, and then it's going to give you the list of your routes for the day. Now, you click on the first one that you have to do for the day, and once you click on that, it's going to show you the student name and the address. So once you go to that address, once you arrive, you press that green button that says arrived, and you wait for 3 minutes. And if the student doesn't show up on your first day, you call dispatch. This is very, very important. And once they tell you the student is not there and they confirm, you can go ahead and press that red button, which is no show. You click on the student name again and save. But once you get there and the student is in the car and is on board, you press that green button that says on board. Once you press that, it's going to now bring the student's address. And this is meaning the school address, which is where you're going to take them, the destination. You copy paste that and take them to the destination. And once you dropped off the student, you press that green button where it says complete. And once you press that, you can move on to your next route. Now, let's say you would like access to the route copy where it shows you more information about the student. You press on the specific route and you click route copy right where it says route copy underneath the route number. I'll zoom in a little bit to show you exactly where that button is. It's on top center, route copy. So once you press that, it's going to give you access to the sheet. So let's talk about oil change. So drivers should make an appointment with the dealer or mechanic the company's working with and change the oil within the first 10 days of the month. So from the 1st to the 10th, that's when we are going to be asking you to change the oil for company car. If you are an independent contractor, you can do it at your own time, but everyone is required to bring us paperwork, even independent contractors. It's just good for us so that we can file it and show that your vehicles are safe to do student transportation. So, weekly vehicle inspections. So the company policy is that weekly vehicle inspections will be every Tuesday. Monthly training, first Tuesday of each month. So the only time we're going to be asking you to come to the office is on Tuesdays. So an office personnel is going to check your car for a few minutes and they're going to fill out a paperwork, and that's called the vehicle inspection. And during that time, once a month, we're also going to do a training, which occurs every single month of the school year. Now, vehicle inspections are required to ensure that every vehicle is safe and transporting students every day. So drivers are required to come every Tuesday. And if you are unable to come for whatever reason, please let us know. so that we can make some sort of accommodation or find a time to be able to perform that vehicle inspection. And please ensure vehicles are clean before coming to the weekly inspection. So the vehicle use policy. Drivers are not permitted to use company vehicles outside of designated work hours. Any damages or issues that arise during unauthorized use will be the driver's responsibility. So camera and GPS policy. Drivers are responsible for ensuring camera and GPS is working at all times. This is important to do as part of the pre-trip inspection that I just showed you guys in the previous slides. So this is going to indicate the picture below where the red arrow is pointing. It points at a little green glowy thingy, right? That's indicating that the GPS is working properly. There's times where the district might ask for GPS data, and if the GPS isn't working, that's going to turn into a fine. So it is very, very important that GPS is working at all times, and camera, of course, should be working at all times for safety. And independent contractors are responsible for buying a camera and GPS system that is assigned by the company. So everybody should have camera and GPS, and it should be working at all times. And it's the driver's responsibility to ensure that it's working at all times. So communications. Driver must not have their phone on do not disturb when doing routes, right? If, for example, you're running late or we get a call from the district, dispatch is going to be contacting you. And if they're unable to reach you, it's going to be hard to communicate back to the district or back to the school. So communication with dispatch is very, very important. And please respond to texts received from office personnel, right? We will be sending you reminders for Tuesday inspections along with a training schedule. If there's training, we'll be reaching out through text. So make sure you communicate with us. If you can't make it make sure you're able to text us back so we can make arrangements, right? Communication is key. So this is just stating that if in case you get into an accident and it causes a fatality or a bodily injury to a person, and that person needs to be transported to get medical treatment, or one or more of the vehicles that got into an accident need to be transported away from the scene, whoever responded, the cop or the peace officer responding to that accident, needs to notify the state patrol. So remember, the students in your Type 3 vehicle are relying on you to transport them safely. So let's keep that in mind. And with that, I just want to say thank you.